about that because this is important. It is important for the students' voice to be heard. If I want to put in place new literacy teaching, as I said earlier, and the students don't want to learn it, I've got an uphill battle. I have to be able to bring the students on board. They have to be able to see that they're working for themselves, that with the learning, it's them working for themselves. Okay, in terms of looking at our planning, if we've done our audit, we then need to say, where do we want to be? Where do we want to be in 1 term's time, 2 terms' time, and so on? And what I'm suggesting is I need to have a plan that says, okay, in 1 term's time, if any progress has been made, in 1 term's time, what will teachers be doing differently? In other words, what does effective literacy teaching look like, and how will it look a bit different in a term's time? And also, what will the students be learning differently? What does effective literacy learning look like? So if I'm going to start to plan, that needs to be the start of my dialogue. If we're going to be doing literacy better, what will it look like? What will the literacy teaching look like, and what will the learning look like? And so, I've actually suggested that we do this review, but I'd like to just move on, if it's okay for a second, and come back to that. If we're talking about developing our literacy plan, I'm going to be pushing 3 types of plans to embed the literacy. The first is your literacy outcomes that follows on from what I was just saying. The second one is the plan that you'll use to actually learn to do the things, to do the literacy teaching. And the third is how you'll put it into time and space, how it will actually be put in place in a real school context. So if the first question we ask is, by the end of term 3, what new literacy outcomes do you want to achieve? Or by the end of term 4, what new literacy outcomes? As I said, if we're going to have this explicit focus on the professional learning, where will we be at the end of each of those? And some of you know from the discussion that I had with your schools, this was a key part of our planning. And I had each of the schools talk about their term-by-term plans, didn't we? Yeah? Come on, all the schools I visited. I sent you all that grid. We're going to have a look at the grid for ourselves today. And because it's very important. It's important we can see where we're going. Because if we can't see where we're going, we're less likely to get anywhere. Okay, so if we're going to look at setting some student goals, one area in which we need to set the goals for the students in terms of student outcomes is to be aware of that automaticity aspect. And I've mentioned that in your notes and we've talked about it already. So we need to have goals for what the students are going to achieve each term automatically and what they're going to be able to be scaffolded to do and what things they'll be able to talk about. We need to also make decisions about the indicators that you're going to use for measuring success. And we've already talked about what these indicators are, but they're going to influence the goal setting. And so if we're looking at planning how to teach each strategy, we need to be clear on which strategies you're going to be scaffolding the students to use and which ones you're going to be assuming that they can already use automatically. So if we're looking at the high reliability teaching, In order to plan, we need to know what the teaching looks like. When I'm scaffolding, let's say we're looking at a topic, women in ancient Egypt. If I was going to scaffold the students to use the literacy strategies, one thing I'd be doing would be, first of all, getting them to get their knowledge ready. So, imagine you're a woman, imagine you're talking to a woman living in ancient Egypt. What's it here? Look, I think we'll stop because we're having lunch at 1. It's 10 to 1. I'm right, aren't I? It's 10 to 1 or 10 to 12? 10 to 1. Okay. I think we'll go on with this after. Could I just skip ahead a bit? In fact, let's look at the notes